We are now joined by Captain Atul Kulshrestha, Defence Analyst, and we're also joined by Captain Shweta Mishra, former Army officer. Thank you so much for joining us. And Captain Atul, first to you, your comments on this scheme that has been announced and also the kind of reactions we're seeing on the ground in Bihar, at least right now. Violent protests, as many are very unhappy with the announcement of this scheme.
Yeah, very good morning, Gagi. Now, my point is very simple, that we have failed to inculcate trust among aspirants about this policy, right? So any change we want to brought in, it has to have some trust among the aspirants. Now, and we need to understand one more thing, that the protest is not about this POD in isolation. This is about one factor, that the aspirants of Army, aspirants of Air Force and Navy, they have been cheated since last 2 years, right? They have been denied of their examination where they've appeared in, they have passed half of the trail, and the final examination has not been conducted, and the excuse given was the COVID. At the same time, one more factor, the students of Air Force, their exam has been conducted, their result has not been declared since last 1.5 years, and the excuse was COVID. And there is one more category wherein the students of Air Force, they have cleared all their examinations, the medical has been done, they were waiting for the joining has not been given by the excuse of COVID. So, and one more thing, the world is not blind, they are understanding what is happening around them. At one point of time, they are denying the examination in the name of COVID. At the same time, in the same time duration, in the same dateline duration, they were conducting the recruitment rallies. So this is the factor of major unrest among these students. They feel they've been cheated. And moreover, the whole packaging of the scheme, I have a very, very big question mark on that. At one point, we say that in armed forces, we need Josh, we need Jazba. It's not about the salary, it's not about the money. Desh ki seva. At the same time, the reason given for this particular, this scheme, that we want to cut down on the expenses, we want to cut down on the pension expenses. So. Right. At the same time, if we can't give the sense of security, how we can achieve the sense of belongingness? And armed forces works on the sense of belongingness.
All right. Captain Shweta, your view on this and also about women in the army and, given this scheme and the kind of unrest that we're seeing over it.
Hi, Gargi. I am seeing these pictures coming of violent protests, people burning tires. These are the aspirants who are intending to work for the security of the nation. I am absolutely aghast that these people are aspiring to be the soldiers to save the nation, and they are burning tires, and the kind of violent protests that videos and pics that I am seeing, it's absolutely disturbing for me. That is the first. Second thing is, whatever the information that is there in public domain about this scheme of Agniveer and Agnipath, it has to have several other subsections to it. Final details have yet to be worked out or yet to be put in public domain. I'm so glad to see the letter by Member of Parliament Varun Gandhi, who's giving questions. Those questions are the cues on which government probably will now work on and give a final finishing touch. Even before the final finishing touch has come, even before the final, advertisement for recruitment has come, these protests have begun. So I'm kind of, apprehensive as to what the reality is. Nowhere I have read any instruction by the government that the existing schemes are being switched off and the new only 4-year scheme is being put in. That information is not there in public domain. That is first.
So a lot of confusion you're saying regarding the scheme right now, and a very good point. These are people who want to join the army and they're shattering windows of trains and burning tires, but it also shows the kind of frustration. But yes, do go on, Captain Shweta.
Yeah, so one has to understand the long-term implication of the decisions that are being taken. See, India's average age as of now, population is around 25 to 27 years. And Indian Army's average age is much more. So when we have this scheme up in place, younger population, like you said, 17 to 21, 22 years will be joining. So average age of Indian armed forces will also reduce, and it will come at par with what the nation's age is, which will become somewhere, around 25, 26 years. So average age of Indian Army will also come down to what the reality on ground of India's population is. So this scheme adds on to that leveraging the demographic dividend which we have. That part is one, and second part is that after 4 years, what will they do? That question still remains. Some governments, like you have already mentioned, UP, MP, Haryana, they have come up with, incentives that they will be given preference. Moreover, we already have a model in hand, as far as officers cadre is concerned. Short service commissioned officers of Indian Armed Forces join for 5 years only, and they leave their forces after 5 years and look out for options in the corporate world and in other government services. So that model is already present, although it is only at the officer level now, and this is now being brought in the persons below officer rank, PBOR ranks as well. So one model is in place, but officer cadre vacancies, usually officers are only around in Indian Army around 60,000 only, whereas in the other ranks the strength is around 14 lakh or so. So the opportunities and the playground is much bigger, to work on. As of now, as we see that the information is come that only 40,000 will be inducted.
All right. Captain Atul, so do you feel there's a need for more clarity? Perhaps that is leading to a lot of this, dissatisfaction and anger. And as you said, there's frustration over these last 2 years of COVID and the fact that army recruitments haven't been taking place.
Absolutely, Gargi, and I totally agree with Captain Shweta that it's just disturbing. But at the same time, we need to understand why it has happened, because all the public servants or all the relevant MPs and these students have been to their places. They've been giving gyapans and all since last 1.5 years, and they have not been heard of. So that's the reason, when, and at the same time, when we are declaring some policy, then it's and we understand this is a major social dissection which we are going to do, and it will gonna affect socio-economic on a very, very vast level. So then, and the students are coming on the street, then it's a failure of understanding of the sentiments of the masses of India. So I would like to put this point out here. At the same time, Captain Shweta is mentioning about the kind of entry. I myself is a short service commissioned officer, infantry officer. I worked in line of control. I worked in high altitude counterinsurgency areas. I totally understand the need of kind of feel of belongingness one needs to work in these kind of adverse areas, right? And if you are insecure from the day one, and if you keep thinking that what I'll do post 4 years, then I'm telling you it's gonna be a major disaster for our safety and security. At the same time, officers are being given the ex-servicemen status, and they go to the civil streams and they apply. Various state governments have quota in the state services for the ex-servicemen. My question is this: whether these students who just serve for 4 years will be given the ex-serviceman status? So that clarity is not there. So anything which we want to do may be having the very, very good effects in the long term, but how it has been explained, that's the thing of highly importance. Otherwise, how can we avoid such things?